Why your business needs a personal trainer, not another hard worker. Now, when did flat out become something to be proud of? Because I talk to auto repair shop owners every week who are absolutely run off their feet. They're the first one in, they're the last one out. Their phone goes flat every single day. The bays are full in the workshop. They've always got jobs on, but they're absolutely flat out and they wear it like a badge of honor, like it's something to boast about. Now, on the surface, it makes perfect sense. They're busy, things are happening, and surely that means that their business is working well. But busy almost never means profitable, and flat out certainly does not mean free. And working harder on the wrong things just gets you to the wrong place faster. But the owners getting the best results, the ones with the time, the money, and the freedom that they actually wanted when they started, well, they're almost never the hardest working people in the room. They're not grinding harder than anyone else, but they made a shift that most auto repair shop owners never make. The problem isn't the workload, it's the design. I'm Dean from the Workshop Whisperer, and that's what today's episode of the A-Grade Auto Repair Shop Show is all about. Now, before we get into it, we've put together a free resource called Urgent versus Important. It's a framework that helps you work out what actually deserves your time and what's just noise. It connects directly to what we're going to be talking about today. Now, the link is in the description box below. You can grab it at the end of today's episode. Now, I want you to think about a personal trainer. If you wanted to get fitter, you could try and figure it all out by yourself. You could hit the gym, you could do some research, you could throw together your own plan. Lord knows I've done the same thing using ChatGPT. Or you could hire a personal trainer who actually knows what they're doing. Now, a good personal trainer will do two things. First, they're going to ask you what the end result looks like for you from a physical perspective. It's not going to just be, you want to lose some weight. They actually want specifics. They want to know, where do you want to add muscle? They want to get a feeling of what the transformation actually looks like for you. And from there, they can build a program that is custom designed and specific for you. That means the right exercises, the right amount of sets, the right number of reps. And if they're really good, they'll also provide you a nutrition guide that's calibrated to your weight loss goals. Now, whether they're an athlete or whether they're a personal trainer, both of those two people use the same gymnasium. They've got the same equipment available to both of them, but one shows up and throws weights around, hoping they're going to get a result, and the other designs the program that produces a specific outcome. Most auto repair shop owners that I speak to, they work like the athlete. Let me show you what I mean. We've got two circles here, it's pretty clear. Left circle, this one here, right? This is the game. Now, this essentially is your business every single day, right? You've got the jobs. If we look at in here, right, there's jobs to do. You've got a team to run. There's a phone call to be answered. There's problems to deal with. We also know there's accounts to be reconciled. There's books that need to be kept. There's decisions that need to be made. There's pricing that needs to be established. There's systems that need to be drawn out. Here's the thing though. In most cases, that's you right in the middle of it. And what that means is, scared myself crazy there, thought I lost it all. What that means is that you end up right in the middle of all those aspects that need to be touched. From a game perspective or a coaching perspective, you're here playing every position, you're handling every situation. Literally, you are flat out from the moment that you walk in. But on the other side, got the right circle. This might be the same business. So let's say this is business 1. This is business 2. Well, this is the same business, right? So there's still jobs to do, phone calls to make, decisions, accounts, team, bookkeeping, pricing. Well, there's even marketing. But in business 2, this person sits outside the business. They actually get the benefit of looking in. More importantly, in business 2, this owner is not in the game. They're watching the game. They're the trainer that's looking at what's happening on the field. Right? They're here, and more importantly, they're recording the data. And they're adjusting the plan based on what that data is telling them needs adjusting. In short, here's the big difference. The owner in business 1, they can't see out. And you've heard the saying, we can't see the forest for the trees. But business owner 2, they're always looking in. Always looking in. Now, one of our clients, good operator, been in the business 20 odd years, your typical auto repair shop owner. He was the first in every single day. He knew every job, knew every customer. He also knew every problem. And the business ran because he was the one to make it run. But when he got sick for a couple of weeks and he couldn't go in, well, you can probably guess what happened. He thought he had a team problem, but turns out he had a position problem. Because he was spending his life playing on the field when he should have been standing on the sideline directing how the game got played. Because you cannot see the game clearly when you're the one playing it. And this is the position you want to be in. The trainer, on the outside of the circle, always looking in, adjusting what needs to be done to win more often at the game you're playing. Now, let's talk about what that actually looks like in practice, because there is a massive difference between an athlete who just shows up and throws weights around and an athlete who follows a deliberate program. You can see here we've got 2 sets of shapes. But let's think about this one over here, and again, let's call this business number 1. Now we've got shapes on both sides, squares, circles, whatever you want to call them, right? But think of these as all the things you have to do or have to be done inside your auto repair business. Right, what do we got? Well, there's jobs that need to be completed. There's admin tasks that need to be attended to. There's always team conversations that need to be had. Tough conversations, hard conversations, sometimes just really pleasant conversations. Of course, we've got finances that need to be done. There's pricing adjustments that need to occur. And if we're honest, we sit around here, there's also this thing that every business requires, which is marketing. Right, on this left side though, all of those jobs are scattered everywhere, right? There's no order, there's no sequence. You literally just grab whichever job is screaming for your attention the loudest, or the one that is put in front of you when your team members feel like they need some help. Now that's most shops. When the shop operates like this, like an athlete, well, the owner just simply shows up and reacts to what's loudest. If an urgent job comes in, well, they drop everything and attend to that. If a staff issue blows up, then they got to stop what they're doing, go over and have a conversation to handle that. And if the phone rings, well, it's tools down, phone is picked up, and they attend to that as well. Now, at the end of the day, they're doing so much here. They get to the end of the day. They've been really busy for 10 hours. It might look like this. Right? Really busy for 10 hours. But it actually feels like they've achieved nothing. Literally, like they've gone around and around and around in circles. Lots of activity. Very little achievement, very little accomplishment, and almost no progress. What about on the right side here? What if we've got the same shapes, but in this case, they're actually in order. There's some sort of sequence. There's a process that reflects some sort of plan. And each thing is chosen deliberately because it produces the next result. For example, maybe at the start of every day, there is a discussion from the owner with the team about the jobs they've got on, and that immediately leads to a brief discussion around what problems might come up. Might prompt a discussion around, well, what are the markers of progress here? Like, what is done, not done, and in progress? So the owner has that conversation. Right? Maybe from there, they move into a conversation about finance. Might be with their partner. Maybe it's with their accountant, their bookkeeper, their financial planner. But that leads to a conversation about some of the possibilities or problems to overcome there. Then maybe they come back to have a conversation about jobs. But then maybe at the end of the day, they've got time to do some admin tasks, answer some phone calls, or maybe work on some marketing. This right here, this is the personal trainer approach. It's not more effort, it's simply better design. Now, if you think about your average week, think about how much of it is planned, this, versus reactive, this. How much of it is standing on the outside looking in versus being consumed by all of it, feeling like you're on the hamster wheel going around, 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 reliving the same day, 5 days, 6 days in a row. And ask yourself this question: how much time do you actually spend on things that are genuinely moving the business forward versus things that just need handling? The six-figure shop owner's week is almost entirely reactive. They're good at handling whatever comes up, but they're almost always handling things. They're very rarely, if ever, designing what things get done. Now, the seven-figure shop owner, they protect their time to work on the business. Now, it's not every day, and sometimes it's not even every week, but they're working on designing the systems and the processes that make the business run without them, deliberately and consistently. They're building a program for profitable growth. They're not just running through the reps. Both owners have the same number of hours in every week, but they're experiencing completely different results. Now, that free resource I mentioned at the start, urgent versus important, this is exactly where it helps. It's a simple framework that shows you how to sort what you're doing into what actually matters and what's just noise. If you've been reacting all week and you want to start designing instead of reacting, that free resource is your starting point. You can download it free in the link below. Now, I want you to listen really, really carefully here. The most successful auto repair shop owners that we know stopped lifting the weight and started sharing the load. Let me say that again for you very slowly and very deliberately so it lands for you. The most successful auto repair shop owners we know stopped lifting the weight and started shifting the load. They're not doing less. They're not working less hard. They've shifted what they're working on. Gone from reactive to deliberate. They've gone from being the person who's doing the work to the person who's designing how the work gets done. So there's 3 questions I want you to sit with after this episode. Question 1, is what I'm doing actually producing a predictable result, or am I just throwing weights around? If you looked at your last week or your last month, is there a plan behind your activity? Or were you just showing up and handling whatever was handed to you the moment you walked in the door? An A-grade shop owner can tell you exactly what they're working on and, more importantly, why they're working on it. They can point to a result that it's building towards. And if you can't answer that question clearly, then the reality is you're probably just throwing weights around. Question 2, if you looked at your business like a personal trainer, what would you change about the program? If you're able to go from here and step outside, even just for a minute, if you weren't the one on the field, if you were watching from the outside with fresh eyes, what is it that you would see? Like, what's not working in here that you've been too busy to fix? What's consuming all of your time that doesn't need to be or you don't want it to be? And what would a good trainer cut from the plan? Question 3, the final question. When did you last look up long enough to ask yourself, is what I'm doing actually working? Like, this is the question that gets most owners, right? They haven't ever paused long enough to ask themselves the question, is what I'm doing actually working? Like, they're so deep in the game that the idea and even the possibility of stepping outside feels impossible. But that's exactly what needs to happen. None of our best ideas come to us when we're chained to the shop floor 12 hours a day. No one has that amount of imagination, energy, or bandwidth. But that's why the personal trainer doesn't just run the program, they review it, they adjust it. They're always asking, is this producing the result we're after? If you never ask the question, you'll never know the answer, and you'll keep on grinding on a plan that simply isn't working. Now, here's what I want you to take away from today's episode. Busy is a feeling, but progress is the result that you're actually after. The athlete shows up and grinds. The personal trainer shows up and designs. You can outwork your competition, but you can't outwork a bad plan. With a good plan, you won't have to work as hard as your competition, but you'll enjoy a much better result, a much better outcome. Because your business does not need you or require you to work harder. It needs you to step outside the circle. It needs you to stop being the athlete who is stuck on the field, start being the trainer on the sideline. Your business requires you to design the program that produces the result you're after. You get to choose what goes in the plan and what gets cut. And then most importantly, we grab that data, you grab that data, so you can measure what matters and work out what's actually working. Now, if this episode has you thinking differently about your business and you'd like to find out how we help auto repair shop owners stop grinding and start designing the programs that make their businesses run more effectively, more profitably, then just click the links in the description below. There's no pressure, there's no sales calls, there's just clear information that you can read to really determine if the Workshop Whisperer might be the right fit and now might be the right time to get some help with your auto repair shop. And I'll see you on the next episode of the A Grade Auto Repair Shop Show.